Hey, what's up everybody? Today we have a fun little video about everything we know for Halloween Horror Nights 2018. Everybody knows that Halloween Horror Nights is Universal's main yearly event. They've been doing it pretty much every year they've been open except for the very first year. This is the 28th year. I just wanted to go over all the basic information that we already know for Halloween Horror Nights 2018. First, for the houses. The very first announcement that they made was for Stranger Things. The house, or maze, whatever you want to call it, is going to be based off of the first season of Stranger Things. This is what Universal had to say about this house. You'll faithfully follow the storyline, starting off on Mirkwood and then quickly moving inside Hawkins National Laboratory where things have gone terribly, terribly wrong. From there, you will experience all the most memorable moments and environments from the show while being hunted at every turn by the Demogorgon. And of course, you'll step into the mysterious darkness of the Upside Down more than once, whether you like it or not. That's pretty much all they said about this house so far. We don't know much else, but it is probably the most hype house that they have currently. There's a lot of other good houses, but this drew the attention of so many people. I think it's going to be one of the biggest Halloween Horror Nights because of this maze that they're doing. The next house that they announced was Dead Exposure Patient Zero. It is the first original house announced. It is basically a sequel house to one that they had in 2008. It is an original, and from what I hear, I wasn't there for 2008. From what I hear, it is a huge fan favorite original house that Universal has had. Like I said, I don't know much about it, but this is what Universal had to say. We're bringing back that same terror, but this time we're dropping you in the middle of Paris in 1982. The City of Lights has gone dark as chaos spreads, unchecked. Hordes of vicious, flesh-eating undead are swarming the streets. The military is forcing those not affected into quarantine and a vaccination is being given. It's the only chance to ward off the sickness, but there are major side effects: blindness. So that's all we really know about Dead Exposure Patient Zero. The next house that Universal announced for Halloween Horror Nights is Trick or Treat. Last year, Trick or Treat was a scare zone, and from what I hear, it was a lot of people's favorite scare zone. It was very beautiful. Again, unfortunately I wasn't there. I haven't been there since HHN 25. If you haven't seen Trick or Treat, you should go check it out. It's a really good movie. It's been a favorite of mine since I think 2011, I think is when I first saw it. The only thing Universal had to say about Trick or Treat was this: these Guardians of Halloween will teach you the traditions of the holidays as you find out firsthand the consequences of breaking those rules. With monsters around every turn, you need to pay attention or suffer the ultimate fate. This is only the second IP that Universal has announced. The other three houses that have been announced so far are all original houses. So there's going to be a total of 10 houses, and this is one of the licensed franchises they're using for one of the houses. The next house that they announced for Halloween Horror Nights 28 is called Slaughter Cinema. Universal had this to say: it's showtime at the local drive-in. As you approach, you'll see movie trailers of what you're about to witness, filling you with dread as you make your way inside. The smell of popcorn will be the first to hit your senses as you find yourself in a movie theater snack bar. But from there, it's all downhill for this double feature. This actually sounds like one of the comedy houses that Universal usually tries to do. For from what I remember, they usually try to have one comedy house each year, and this probably is that house. At least that's what I think. It is an original house. It is basically going to be a house. It's just, we all know that the theme for Halloween Horror Night 28 is like an 80s theme. Not everything is going to be 80s inspired, but for the most part, it is going to be an 80s theme for Halloween Horror Nights 28. This is going to be an 80s B-list horror movie type of house. It sounds interesting. I can't wait to check it out just because most likely it is going to be comedy driven, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. And the last house that Universal has announced so far, this is the 5th house that they have announced out of 10. So we do have 5 more announcements to go in the next month and a half or so. They'll probably announce the last 5. But this one is called Carnival Graveyard Rust in Pieces. It is another original house, but Universal didn't have much to say other than this quote: ride parts have become instruments of torture and the walls have been painted in the blood of those foolish enough to enter. These carnies won't stop until they've had their fun-filled revenge. Now, Universal has also announced all 5 scare zones. It looks like it's going to be 3 original scare zones and 2 licensed scare zones. The first of the 5 is The Harvest. This is what Universal had to say about this scare zone. An old barn is the setting of every kind of horror. Its walls are decorated with ominous objects and images from each haunted house, hinting at the horrors to come. This barn is not as abandoned as it initially seems. The next scare zone is Vamp 85 New Year's Eve. This is what they had to say. Before the countdown to midnight has started, it's clear this party has already been crashed, and the streets are running red with blood. You'll enter what looks to be your typical New Year's Eve bash until it's too late. As the ball drops, fanged punks and big-haired vamps will start their feeding frenzy. Now, as far as I know, I forget what the first one was called, but this is like a sequel scare zone to another vamp type of scare zone they did, I believe. They've also announced Twisted Tradition as a scare zone. Travel through the forest of Central Park where an ancient evil has been awakened. Halloween has been transformed into an abomination with rotting pumpkins fused with decaying human flesh. Alright, now the last two scare zones that Universal has announced are both licensed for this event. The first one is Revenge of Chucky, and after 30 years of mayhem, he's creating chaos in the streets during a toy fair that's turned lethal in the Revenge of Chucky scare zone. At this festival of toys, Chucky has twisted these playthings into new nightmares. This one I'm kind of looking forward to. I've always been a fan of Child's Play and Chucky in general, and I think this would be a great addition to Halloween Horror Nights. The last scare zone that they have is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. From what Universal has said, as you enter the domain of these killer clowns, the smell of cotton candy hides the fact that this is all trick and no treat. This sweet candy is spun from human victims grotesquely cocooned inside giant pods of cotton candy. Try and escape the killer clowns, or you'll face the wrath of their cotton candy ray guns that turn you into a tasty cotton candy snack. Those are all 5 scare zones announced. There will be no more announcements for the scare zones. Next up are the shows. Now, usually they have 2 shows each year, but they got rid of Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure. I believe that's what it was called. That was a staple to the event. This is the first year they won't have it. From what it sounds like, they are not replacing it this year. The only show they're gonna have is Academy of Villains, and that will be the 3rd year of them doing this show. This is what they had to say about Academy of Villains. Academy of Villains is returning for their 3rd consecutive year. This year's performance will be taken to the next level with an all-new show jam-packed with mind-blowing entertainment. Now, the reason that there are 10 houses this year, most likely there's usually only 9 houses, recently anyway. They added a 10th house most likely because they didn't come up with a show idea in time for the event to contain crowds and everything. They needed something different, so they added a 10th house instead of doing a second show to kind of keep things under control. Alright, that about wraps it up for this video, guys. Let me know what you think. What are your favorite houses and scare zones that they have announced so far this year? I personally am excited for Stranger Things. Obviously, it's one of my favorite shows right now. I'm also excited for Trick or Treat and not Slaughter Cinema. I mean, it looks good. But my other favorite is the Rust in Pieces. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about Halloween Horror Nights so far this year. Leave a comment down below, like this video if you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next one. Later, guys. Thanks for watching.